Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I do have two disclaimers that I need to announce before we get going. One is that this call will be recorded for business purposes. By participating in a recorded call, you consent to being recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, do not participate in the call. And the second is that while every effort has been made to ensure that this session's content is accurate, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae Selling Guide, Servicing Guide, and any amendments to them are the official statements of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae's policies and procedures and control in the event of any discrepancies between the information in the webinar and the guides. So now we're ready to begin our presentation. Allow me to introduce today's speakers. We're joined by James Babylaitis, Senior Manager with Fannie Mae, and Sean Murphy, Credit Policy Risk Analytics Manager with Freddie Mac. So James, let me know when you're ready to get started, and we will begin.
Thank you, Christina. I am ready.
All right.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. I am James Babylaitis with Fannie Mae, and along with Sean Murphy from Freddie Mac, we will be covering today's materials. Looking at the agenda today, we're going to give you an overview of the project itself, the Uniform Appraisal Dataset and Forms Redesign. We're going to look at what we believe are some key benefits that lenders will realize. We're going to talk about some new URAR, the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, some features there. We're also going to look at the UCDB Submission Summary Report and give you some highlights on that. Then we're going to talk a little bit about operational readiness and technology readiness that we're going to look at you to do, and also discuss some industry training that is available. We'll take a look at our timeline to see where we are currently, and then dive in a little more into the limited production period. So with that, let's go ahead and hop right into today's webinar. So what is the UAD and Forms Redesign Initiative? So the GSEs have been working on this since 2018. We spent the first couple of years reaching out to all the different stakeholders groups and getting input on what needed to change. And through this effort, we have now updated the appraisal data set to align with the current mortgage industry standards and have put out a specification in the MISMO version 3.6, which is the latest MISMO version. Part of this effort is to replace all the existing GSE appraisal forms with a single, flexible, dynamic appraisal report. So gone are the days when we move into this where you'll be requesting a specific appraisal form. So now the appraisal report is going to be specific to property's characteristics. There'll be no single form or form number or property type. The dynamic data that we've created will support all property types moving forward. And we'll look at that in a little bit. We have standardized the data that defines the property better, and we've provided a more holistic view and greater understanding of the property characteristics. Currently, there are a lot of free-form texts, and all of those are going to be replaced with discrete data. The current forms have pages and pages of general addenda at the end, and all of those are going to be replaced with section-specific commentary. Likewise, all the photos that used to be included in the appraisal report will now be, appraisal forms are now going to be in their relevant sections within the new report. Along this journey, we've worked very closely with the government agencies, FHA, VA, and USDA. They've had a seat at the table, and we've included their specifications in the documents that we've provided. So that's a lot of information about what we're doing. And if we look at the infographic that we've put together on the next slide, I don't expect you all to read everything on this slide, and the reason for that is this is more a placeholder for me to direct you to the GSE websites. This infographic, along with a video of what this project is all about, all our specifications and reference documentation, the sample appraisal reports that we have out there, and a lot of other documentation in our trainings that I'll mention are all available on the GSE websites. We will be providing you links following this webinar so that you can go there and look at all those resources and leverage them directly. So this infographic we put together was in one page to basically outline everything I talked about on that previous slide. So if you look starting from the left, we look at which appraisal reports are currently in the UAD 2.6 XML file format, and that's just single family and condo. All the other appraisal reports are currently non-UAD compliant. So we took all those formed reports, looked at all the data, looked at the consistency that we wanted to provide, and created a new UAD delivery specification. And then from that delivery specification, we worked to create, and those are just little sample screenshots on the side, what the new Uniform Residential Appraisal Report would look like. It is a data-driven report, meaning that there are some sections that are always going to appear, and then based on the property characteristics of the property that's being appraised, some sections will appear as they define the property that's being reviewed. So a lot of information on our websites. You'll be able to look at this in greater detail and get a true sense of what the project is. So now let's look at some of the benefits of why we're going through this whole effort. So the first thing is the expanded scope. UAD is going to cover all the different property types that are out there. With that, we anticipate that there'll be an improved review process through the data standardization that we've created. With that, you will have minimized review times, improved productivity, and one of the key areas we believe is through reduced revisions. So one of the things that we've done is we've created a UAD compliance API that we've provided to appraisal software vendors, and there upfront in the process, appraisers can check as they're creating their files prior to submitting it to their clients. And that'll be able to check for data consistency and structure of their XMLs and so forth. We've also redesigned the submission summary report, and I'll get into a little more detail on that in a little bit. Individuals, once they submit the files to UCDP, will be able to get more details and pertinent information back from our systems. And we are also making those files available in PDF and JSON. And finally, you'll be able to associate an appraisal update report or a completion report with an original URAR. So these are just some of the key lender benefits as we give you this initial overview into why we're going into this project.
Thanks, James. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sean for the next portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Christina. So the page you're looking at right now is the summary page. It will be the first page of the PDF output of the appraisal report. It's a synopsis of key information for the lender. As you can imagine, there was a desire to put everything on this page, including the kitchen sink. But the driving force that determined if something was going to make the summary page was whether it was something that was needed by the lender. After many surveys of industry stakeholders like you through the years, this is the final product. And I'd like to draw your attention to the top left-hand corner, the opinion of market value as of the effective date of the appraisal, and if there are any market value conditions that the market value depends on. In this situation, the answer is no, shown in the column just to the right, since it's an as-is appraisal that's not subject to any type of repairs or inspections. The assignment reason is the next section that comes down. With this particular report is a refinance, followed by the borrower's names. Since there will no longer be form numbers, this particular part will help highlight the assignment and scope of the appraisal. Please look to the second column on the right called Property Valuation Method. This particular example is a traditional appraisal, which means the appraiser did the inspection on site as of the effective date of the appraisal. Other options are hybrid appraisal, desktop appraisal, and exterior appraisal. Next, the property description will be identified starting with construction method and its quality and condition on the second column to the right. Just under those, you'll see checkboxes to identify if the property is in a project and what type of project it is, PUD, condo, co-op, even condop. And lastly, you'll see something called site owned in common, which helps identify any site condos. And this hopefully will alleviate any of the confusion that the previous forms created when an appraiser may not know which to put the site condo on, either the 1004 or the 1073. The beauty of this appraisal report will be that the appraiser will report the characteristics as he or she sees it and will no longer waste time if, God forbid, they use the wrong form and have to switch from a 1073 to a 1004. The next item down is units excluding ADUs, which identifies if the collateral is a single unit or a 2 to 4. And the other elements at the bottom here are concerns that the lender will need to know about, from highest and best use to zoning issues. And lastly, if there are any defects or deficiencies that the appraiser identified, which requires some kind of action. And next, we will focus on the particulars regarding the defects, damages, or deficiencies. As you can see, this particular slide is a different example than the one prior to it. So as we go through this presentation, all of these scenarios are for demonstration purposes only and are different from each one. It's not one continuous appraisal report. The defects, damages, and deficiencies table that you're seeing right now will show up in each section of the report, providing a better reporting structure. There will no longer be a need for addenda, where most of these were buried and often led the reader of the report on an Easter egg hunt. I have 5 kids and they loved Easter egg hunts, but whenever I did an appraisal, my client didn't have that same childlike excitement of scouring my appraisal to find something that was buried in the back of the report. And I likewise hated returning phone calls to my clients having to explain the item of concern was already addressed in an addendum. This structure and consistency will greatly diminish callbacks and revisions, as the item of concern will be addressed in the body of the report where it is pertinent. If it has something to do with the exterior, then it will show up in the exterior section. If the appraiser recommends an action, those actions will be stated here, either completion, inspection, repair, or none as a recommended action. In other words, there'll be no recommended action for that particular item of concern. It will be treated as an as-is appraisal. Also, if the item affects soundness or structural integrity, it will be stated here in a simple yes or no. The reconciliation section at the bottom there will also reiterate the apparent defects and deficiencies in a nice summary, so it includes all of the particulars that the appraiser addressed throughout the body of the report. The scenarios above provide 2 different ways of displaying the defects. The top part states where the defect is with the description and the recommended action. The bottom part does that as well, but also displays an estimated cost of repair. Please note that the cost of repair is not a requirement of the GSEs, but each individual lender may have their own requirements per their own policy. This enables the appraiser to meet those. Bottom line, there will no longer be addenda. Each section will have enough room for commentary to address each issue, as we will see in the next slide. This section is an example of the exterior. Like each section, it establishes consistent and structured data fields. This maximizes clarity to help support a more credible, consistent report. The tables above support the quality and condition rating at the top of the page. Each feature shows the details to support the quality, and then the condition status of that feature supports the condition rating. As you go down the page, you will see the defects table that was just addressed and any necessary commentary regarding the exterior of the dwelling. Next, we will focus on how this appears in the sales grid. This sales grid is dynamic, and what that means, as the appraiser has characteristics seen for that particular subject property, it will expand in the sales grid. The grid is broken into subsections, and any previous information entered in the body of the report will automatically appear on here so that there's consistency throughout the body of the report. No longer will there be a situation where the appraiser could enter something unique to the sales grid that wouldn't also be in the body of the report and vice versa. These things will be consistent and very much standardized. The ability to add additional rows will come up depending on the collateral. Here's an example. The project information, the second gray bar there, will only show up if the particular collateral has a project that it's in. If the particular item is not a condo, or if it's not a co-op, the project information will not display at all. From then on, you go down from each particular section of the report: site, dwelling, units. At the bottom where it says units, if it happens to be a 2 to 4, that section will display for as many units as there are for the property. The idea more than anything else is that this sales grid is dynamic, meeting the needs of the particular report the appraiser is reporting as they see the collateral, and is able to describe those characteristics and make the market adjustments as necessary. And from there, we will take it to the SSR. Take it away, James.
Thank you, Sean. So as we mentioned, along with the updated Uniform Residential Appraisal Report, we have also redesigned the submission summary report that you'll get back once you submit to UCDP. This new document will be provided in PDF or JSON format. In other words, it will be machine readable when you get it back. The key things are we have aligned it with the UAD 3.6 data, so you'll get feedback on all the property types, and then comprehensive feedback on the errors and findings. So you will get collateral underwriter, CU, and loan collateral advisor, LCA scores, and the GSE collateral rep and warn eligibility indicators. So we have flattened out and simplified the finding structures. So you will see system findings, UAD compliance findings, and then the GSE proprietary findings. So we will make sure that the zip file that is submitted to the GSEs contains the PDF, the XML, and all the images associated with it. We will verify that the XML is compliant with the UAD 3.6 specifications. And of course, you will get the specific GSE proprietary findings related back to the appraisal requirements when you submit. So we've really done a lot of effort to redesign the PDF to visually enhance some key fields. So we've done a lot of work so that you can easily find the document file status, effective date, opinion of market value, to make it a very visually appealing document and easy to consume and leverage. We have attached a couple of draft SSRs just for you to take a look at on the next screen. So you'll be able to see, and these are just samples, so don't read too much into them. It's more an opportunity for you to get a sense of what the new SSRs are going to look like when you get them back from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So you'll see right on the top the file status. You'll see the scores and so forth. This is, again, just a little snapshot, doesn't have all the details underneath it, but I think you'll get a good sense of the look and feel of these documents when you start submitting UAD 3.6 to Fannie and Freddie. So let's talk about, we've talked a lot about what we've been doing to get everything ready for the new UAD 3.6. So now on the next pages, I want to hop into what we're hoping you all will start doing for us. So let's talk about a little operational readiness. So this is a big effort, moving to the new redesigned URAR and the updated 3.6 data set. So on our end, we're making a lot of updates and we'll be publishing new policy and so forth. We believe firmly that there'll be a fair amount of effort needed on your end to get ready for this as well. So we anticipate you will also have to update your policy and process documentation. You'll take a look at your current processes, understand what needs to change with the new reports, and you'll need to communicate those changes within your organizations. You'll look at if there are any updates that need to be made with your technology service providers as you point to the different systems that need to happen. As we mentioned, I'll talk about a little bit the training that we've created and will make available. We firmly believe that there'll be training that each organization will have to create for their own folks. So let's get started early on that. We definitely want to make sure that everybody takes advantage and reaches out to the GSE websites and takes the GSE trainings that we've created as a first step. That's a great place to start. And of course, there are other applications that are impacted as well. One of those is loan delivery. So we want to make sure that everybody updates and tests the readiness to submit the ULDD Phase 5 through your loan origination systems. And there's more information on that on the ULDD sites. So that's key there. So along with the operational readiness, we also need to hop into the technology readiness. So there's a lot that needs to happen between the LOSs, the UCDP direct integrators, the lender agents, your appraisal management companies, and other appraisal service providers, your fulfillment portal, any QC software vendors. You need to reach out and coordinate and test with all your technology service providers to ensure readiness in order to order, receive, review, consume, and submit appraisal reports to the GSEs on the new redesigned URAR and updated UAD 3.6 specification. We've been hearing a lot from industry, and people are saying, well, I'm not going to do anything until the next part of the chain is already done their work. Don't do that. Start reaching out now to everybody that you work with and start asking the questions. What work have you done? Are you ready? How can you help me? What can I do? It is a process where everybody needs to get involved. There are a lot of stakeholders up and down the chain, and we really need to make an effort across the board to get involved in updating our systems and our processes to be ready for what's coming. So let's talk a little bit about training and what the GSEs have created. So we have put out on our websites a new UAD training, and it's for all industry stakeholders, and it talks about the dynamic appraisal reports and the updated data sets, and it is free to you all. If you go to the GSEs, search for Uniform Appraisal Dataset, you'll find that on both our sites, close to the top, there are links that will take you directly to these trainings. There's no registration required. There are 17 modules. If you sit and take them all at the same time, it'll probably take you around 4 hours to complete. You can do that, but you can also take it at your leisure. Take one module at a time, hop in, hop out, go back, revisit as many modules as you like. It is very flexible and very easy. And the key things, our learning objectives to this is to really explore the dynamic nature of the appraisal reports, and that includes all the URAR, the appraisal update, and the completion reports, and our efforts really to eliminate property type specific forms. You will become familiar with the new reporting features of the appraisal reports, learn the basics of the new UAD, examine the expanded data requirements, and really understand your responsibilities in the new appraisal reporting process. So while we have put this training out for industry, we have also created a very specific training for appraisers, and have worked with a group of education providers to make that available. So if you're hearing from appraisers about their training, that's coming too. In fact, some education providers have begun offering it within their states. It is a 7-hour course. Appraisers can take that as part of continuing education. There'll be more information on that forthcoming in the next few months as the education providers get their necessary approvals and start offering it through their systems. So where are we in this project, and what do we need to get ready for? So if we look at the timeline that the GSEs have available, again, I'm going to bring this up and I'll keep on bringing it up. It is available on our websites. You can see on the left-hand side, we are in currently what we are calling the industry prep phase. There's a lot of building and testing that's currently taking place. And right now, industry, you can only submit the UAD 2.6 files. The first key date that we want to make you all aware of is limited production, and that kicks off later this year, September 8th, 2025. Now, limited is not in limited in sense of what the tool can do. This is a full production environment of the new UAD 3.6. It's limited in scope of the number of users that can participate and submit through the system. And it's going to give us an opportunity to make sure that all the work leading up until now is working the way we want it to, is good. We don't run into any issues and everything flows smoothly. So, and on the next slide, I'll get into a little more detail about limited production and participation. But we really encourage as many of you as possible to participate in limited prod and get a feel of the new data set, of the new URAR report, and get a little hands-on and white glove treatment from the GSEs as we work through that. So that first phase, limited production, is going to run until January 25th, 2026. On January 26th, we enter broad production. Anyone, no special request needed, can start submitting the new 3.6 files to the GSEs. And that phase is going to run from January 26th to November 1st. And this is really the transition period for industry. Everybody should start migrating off of submitting 2.6 files and begin to start leveraging the UAD 3.6 files. And then the next really important date is November 2nd, 2026, because on that date, that is what our mandate is, to stop accepting the UAD 2.6 files and only accept the new UAD 3.6 files. So there'll be a lot of communication in the months prior to that November date where we're really going to be encouraging everybody, if they haven't done so, to start migrating off the 2.6 and leveraging the 3.6, because on November 2nd, 2026, you will not be able to submit an old 2.6 file. Now, if you have submitted a 2.6 file prior to that date, it will enter what we're calling the pipeline revision phase, where a file that has been submitted will be able to be modified and so forth. But then the next date after that will be May 3rd, 2027, when we will retire 2.6 and expect the pipeline to be cleared by that point. So starting November 2nd, only 3.6 files will be accepted from the GSEs. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the limited production phase, the limited production period. What is it? It really is an opportunity to be one of the first lenders to enable the use of the new UAD 3.6 in the production environment with your vendors, appraisers, and do it before broad availability. So why participate? As I said, you're going to get hands-on, high-touch support from the GSEs to help you implement and use 3.6 with your vendors and appraisers. And how can you prepare for this? It's coming soon. So we have, again, I'm going to reference our GSE websites. We have a lot of documentation on there. One of those documents is the Lender Readiness Kit that walks through a lot of the things that we've talked about today, help you start identifying potential impacts to your business and address them. We talked about that in the operational and technology readiness. So we want to make sure you've implemented any necessary operational changes to account for the new process. So on our websites, we have documentation around the limited production period and a questionnaire. And we encourage everyone to go out and look at that questionnaire, well, lenders specifically, it is for lenders, and identify that you have the ability to work with all of your partners to submit 3.6, and then get that questionnaire back to the GSEs, and we will get you in the queue and ready to participate in that limited production period. We are very excited for this. It's been a long time coming. So we really want to encourage everybody to begin working. I'm sure a lot of you have already, but we want you to get going on this to be ready for what's coming later this year.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, all subject matter experts. Thank you, attendees. We really appreciate you coming today, and we really hope that you had a beneficial engagement with us, and we also hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.